Right, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible, but I'm going to recommend that you do homework. And so I will talk about something and I will encourage you to do your own sniffing around on various search engines to embellish yourself with some more knowledge. You have 33 vertebrae in your spine. Jesus was alleged to have been alive for 33 years, and he started teaching or ministering from the age of 30 to 33, so a 3-year period. That's what they say. Now, if we break down the vertebrae into thirds, you have the lower third, middle third, upper third. The lower third is Sodom and Gomorrah. And then from Sodom and Gomorrah to the 22nd vertebrae, that would be Lower Egypt, the ruins. And then from the 22nd vertebrae upwards, you have Upper Egypt, above the solar plexus, Upper Egypt. Then you have Israel, and then the pineal gland is Jerusalem. Most of humanity is operating in the lower 11 vertebrae. And what I mean by that is it's energy. Their consciousness is trapped in the lower regions of the body. Now, this energy it's the Kundalini, but it's trapped low. That's why they say the mortal coil, because it's mortal, it can die, it's coiled up. When the energy rises, it's uncoiled. When it's coiled up down below, my camera's probably in reverse, it's like a 6. When it goes up above, it's like a 9, if the 6 was 9. So the crow below, remember Noah's Ark? It was a raven or a crow that he sent out. That's the negative thoughts. Or the dove from above, the good thoughts. In Sodom and Gomorrah, you've got your chakras. So Google this. Go on internet and type in chakras. And then look at images. Images paint 1,000 words, and you'll get all these images come up. Start looking at them. There'll be little bits of writing, and then you can educate yourself. Like, oh, this chakra is that colour, and this chakra is this colour, and this chakra relates to this part of my psychology and this part of my physiology. Okay? Like, for example, the root chakra, located in the region of the anus. It is red. Red is traditionally, in modern societies and culture, red is warning, danger. Remember that when you're drinking your next can of Coke. Warning signs, stop, red. Because it's appealing to your root chakra, which is responsible for survival, security, safety. When you fear something, your ass puckers up. Like if the boss says to you, if you do that again, I'm going to fire you. Or he might say, well, things are hard, I might have to let people go. And then you'll feel that, oh God, that uneasy sensation in your ass. Okay? Conversely, if somebody makes you feel safe, then you can relax with them. Okay? And you feel relaxed. You can relax. You can fart in their presence. You understand what I'm getting at. Now, the next chakra is the sacral chakra, which is to do with sexuality. And sexuality is a right mess. I was having a good conversation last night with this lady, and she was talking about the Hasidic Jews. and they have a tradition where they have sex through a sheet. So they have a special sheet, and it has a hole in it to facilitate intercourse. And I referred to it as a Jewish glory hole. That's just ridiculous. But this is their, this is what we have to do because, sex is dirty. Well, if God gave you it, then why is it that? Do you see how it's just a mess? It's like anything in life. There has to be balance. There has to be moderation. You can live like a celibate if you want, but more often than not, the passions of the fires of passion will consume you. That's why the porn industry exists, to subdue those people, to subdue that carnal nature. Because the human species is procreating, it's creating children, and many families don't even have the means to look after the children. In the West, childbirth rates are dropping right off to the point where societies can't even replace themselves numerically. So they have to import people to keep the country going. It makes you wonder why migrants are kind of being encouraged to swarm all over the globe. So that's the lower two, Sodom and Gomorrah. And Sodom and Gomorrah got burnt off, remember? And this is basically symbolic of not living in fear, not fearing for security anymore, because it's provided anyway, but in a higher place here. So that's 11. And then I'll talk about this. 9/11, okay, that's the start of the year. All right, it's not January the 1st. That's a Catholic invention. So 9/11 is the start of the year, and it's to do with the star, I think it's to do with the star Sirius. Sirius is a binary star. You've got Sirius A and Sirius B. One's very big, one's dwarf, and they orbit around each other. But it's not a binary system because Sirius A and B have a triplets, and that is our sun. So it's a not binary, trinary star system, albeit that our sun's much further away from Sirius, but they do orbit around each other. And I won't go into too much detail about that. You can look things up like that on the internet. Again, research it yourself. So 9/11. 9, higher consciousness. Judging 11. Judging Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. Burning it off. So the fear dies. You no longer have fear of loss or fear of insecurity. You're securing yourself. The opposite of fear would be love. The opposite of insecurity would be fearlessness. So it's the transmutation. Then you get into the upper, so you get the lower third, now you get the second third, so now you've got 11/11. And this is symbolic of people in the wilderness. So this is where their energy is. And people in the physical wilderness, in the world, they're waking up to the fact that everything they've learnt or thought they knew is just a belief system, and it's all falling apart. And that's quite a bewildering place to be, but it's part of the process. Remember, this way is difficult. It's not easy. But it's difficult because you're learning and you're being taught, and your teacher can be quite stern, but for good reasons, okay? And your teacher is within you. It is you. It's an intrinsic part of you that you've forgotten about. And so 1111 is waking up to the fact that everything's bullshit. So then you start asking questions. Where the fuck am I? Who are these people? You're recognizing that you're kind of isolated. You're on your own. And this is the prelude to ego, ego death. Now, ego death is just recognizing that it's just a story. It doesn't matter if it's a good or bad story. It's of no importance whatsoever. It's just a story. Like history. There's a saying that history is written by the winner. And of course, that is the truth. And the winner tends to be a liar. But, what's the other quote? History is a truth that's agreed upon. So it's not the truth. It's something that's been agreed upon. Yeah, like, we'll say this then. Yeah, okay, that sounds okay. So it's not the truth. It's just something that's been agreed upon. Then you become more in tune with the moment. And this is about energy, and it's tuning you in. Your body is 70% water. Water has memory. Planet Earth is 70% water. Water has memory. Now just keep it to your own kingdom. You might have had a gifted life and not had much trauma, says your mind. You might have had a particularly difficult life where you've had lots of trauma. And the mind has a defense mechanism where it suppresses it and it gets hidden in the subconscious. But as that energy rises, the subconscious starts bringing it up. And your emotions are going to go all over the place because it has to. This stuff has to find a way out. Okay? They're like blockages. It's energy blockages, basically, and it has to flow. And the more you fight it, the harder the pushback will be. So it's about expressing yourself. But the problem is that the mind might feel, oh, I'm okay, there's nothing happening, I feel perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden you're really tearful and you can't understand why. Or you might have a sudden rage and you don't know why. It's inner work. And this is why you go within. This is why you meditate, to get the mind out of the way, to allow your essence, your higher self, to do the work for you. So when the mind's out of the way, your inner prince kisses Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, which is your subconscious mind, wakes her up, and then she starts to influence you, your mind. And then you start to realize things internally about, you might have flashbacks of childhood trauma or emotional turmoil. And these kind of things, they kind of torture you. But when you go within, you transmute that energy, you release it. And this is how you free yourself. The truth will set you free. So that's the process of being in the wilderness, and it's a bewildering place. And the mind will feel very cut off, very isolated, very lonely. But that's how the journey alone, your individual journey, that's how it starts. It's a narrow path because only you can walk it. But the more you walk it, the more energy gets released, the more synchronicity you experience, the more in tune you become. Your body is like an antenna. Your spine is like the Tesla tower. All that energy is going, and you're in the wilderness. But at some point, you're going to break through. Now, I'll relate this to the story of the Israelites during the Exodus. But the Exodus is happening right now. That's what this process is about. Okay, it's the Exodus from the pharaohs back then, but now it's the Exodus from Babylon, from confusion. Firstly, your own confusion, and then to extricate yourself from the confusion of humanity and to be an individual. Like all those Nazis doing the Heil Hitler salute, but there was one bloke amongst the crowd stood there with his arms folded. He's probably looking around thinking, what are these fucking idiots doing? But you've tapped into something higher, which will start to guide you. Your life will flow more. It requires less mental effort. You'll be able to heal yourself emotionally. You'll be able to heal physical things. Like, I do a lot of walking in my job. So, it was a few months back, my knees were hurting, just the tendons. There wasn't any grinding or anything like that. It was just the tendons. So when I was meditating, I focused on my knees. Next day, no pain. I stabbed myself in the hand. Well, I do that occasionally, just stab myself. It was an accident. And I'd cut myself in the web of the thumb. And I'd gone right into the muscle, and that muscle there swelled up. And it's an awkward place to stab yourself because you use it a lot. So it was painful, so I meditated on that. Not only did the pain go away, but the hole healed up within a day. So that in itself was like, wow. And this is about applying energy. Rather than have it just scattered around the body, if you become mindful of a particular problem, you can move the energy to that area. And what you're then doing is you're then telling the body, this hurts. Can you do something about it? So then the body puts all the energy there, or the energy that's required to facilitate a repair. You see? And then it goes back doing what it does. So this is about being mindful of your body. When you're meditating, which is repentance, pent is 5, meditation. Turning the 5 senses inwards. How's your eyesight? I'm getting a bit older. I have to wear reading glasses. I'm mindful of how much blue light I take in from screens or laptops and computers. If I get eye ache, I meditate in, clear that. What else is going on? Years ago, I was walking on top of a truck, and there was a low roof, and as I was walking along with my baseball cap on, I didn't see this beam. So I was walking along, looking down at the tanker. It was a big tanker truck. And I was bending down to lift a lid up. As I bent down, I headbutted this crossbeam, and really hard, to the point where I nearly blacked out and fell off the truck. And I'd hurt my neck, and my neck bothered me for ages, especially if I was riding my motorbike, because you obviously have to put your head forward into the wind, and you've got to keep looking around. And it bothered me, but that's gone now completely. Again, it's meditation when you become conscious of it. And this is what happens when you're at 33. When they were doing the Exodus and they climbed the mountain to get into the promised land, only one person made it out of something like 2 million Jews. And now people would read that and think, oh, that's really bad, man. What? The fucking odds are outrageous. Why should I bother? So you imagine, on the plain in the wilderness, you've got the Israelite encampments. All the Hebrews are there. But then they all want to get into the promised land. But but the mind can't. It's just a story. But your individual consciousness can. Now, in the book, it says Joshua is the one that made it into the promised land. Now, in ancient Hebrew, his name was Yahusha. Yahusha means Yah's Redeemer or Yah's Redemption. And that's your own individual consciousness. Now, today, Yahusha has become Jesus, which comes from two gods. One was a Druid god called He, and the other god was a Greek god called Zeus. And the name used to be Jesus, which became Jesus. The letter J wasn't invented until the 17th century. So let's disregard that. So we'll go to He's Zeus. He's us. He is us. Okay? That's why they've twisted things and hidden things. So when you're meditating, your mind is out of the way and your individual consciousness, your essence, can go into the promised land. Well, what's the promised land? Well, that's heaven. Okay? And then what's above will come down below. And then what's in will go out. And that's how you bring about the Father's will. Okay? As above, so below. As within, so without. So if somebody is living in Sodom and Gomorrah, energetically speaking, then their life will be like that. Confused, lost, and also completely oblivious to it. They have absolutely no idea. Then you've got somebody who's in the wilderness in 11:11. And 11:11 means that you're being called out, by the way. You're being called out. If you see 11:11, you are being called out. And like it says in the book, many are called, few are chosen. So you're being called out, so take it seriously. But don't take it seriously by looking out there. Look in here. Okay, and take the tips that I'm giving you. These little they're morsels. They're literally scraps from the fucking table. Until you have the inner experience, the stuff I'm talking about it's just scraps. It only becomes a feast when you are having the experience. So stop eating the scraps from my table or anyone else's and go within and have a feast. One of the things with 11:11 is that you're going to be pulled away from what you used to consider normal. Whatever your cherished ideals and dogmas were, they are going to be torn down. You know, the fake castle of sand that you've built for yourself, it has no foundation. That shit's got to go. And the more you hold on to it, the harder it's going to get. And this is why meditation is important as well, because it allows you to let go. It allows you to it allows you to flow more. Now, things are still going to piss you off. That's fine. Express that. The problem with nowadays, with expressing yourself in a heavily censored society, which is basically being controlled by trauma. That's what's going on. It's trauma, mind control. If you start to express yourself, you could be charged with hate crime and things. So I would suggest to individuals that if you do feel the urge to rage, then do it somewhere quietly. And here's my tip. Do it in your secret place. Okay? Go within. So if you have rage, pissed off, angry, or feeling defeated, whatever it is, take that shit to God. Now, God is your brain. So whatever your mind is feeling, go within with it and take that emotion in. If you want to sit there and meditate and fucking raging, do so. And eventually you'll calm down. Okay, and your mind will just drift off. And at some point, now I'm talking about people that are progressing from 1111 into 33. Now they're getting into the realms of going into the promised land. The mind isn't there, but they're aware of it. Whereas when you're 1111, you're going into the promised land, but you're not aware of it. Okay? Now, this all sounds a bit mystical, but this is the way it is. So, me talking about these things, okay, is just to give people an opportunity to put their feet in the starting blocks. That's it. The rest of it is down to you. How much do you want this? I bent the steering wheel on a car because I was losing my shit. I could not understand how it was working. And this was part of the process for me. This was about 6-7 years ago now. And I just went, because I had to let it out. So I just went scatty. I think the trigger moment was my boss made me fucking decorate a Christmas tree, knowing full well I objected. It's funny now, but it wasn't then. And but I was determined, to get to the bottom of it. And it's a fight. You're fighting a dragon.